Hi and welcome back to my channel. Starting off another weekly reading vlog, fresh out of the shower after my run. It's later than when I wanted to get started, but you know, you live and you learn. Maybe one day I'll learn to stop procrastinating. Anyway, the goal for this week, because this week it is the end of October, with the exception of Monday. I don't think I'll get anything finished on Monday unless I get myself to a point where I'm finishing one book or so. And the goal is to try to finish the TBR. I had a lot of books on the list that took a while to get through, and I kind of knew that they would, but also my reading pace slowed down for most of this month, even though I probably will still end up with minimum of 18 books read, might even be 19, just because I read a couple books not on my TBR, or at least finished them this month. The Spanish books, I don't include them on my TBR. So I finished one of those at the beginning of the month, and I'm probably going to finish one this week. So those aren't on my TBR, those are adding to it. I don't know what the difference is. Maybe it's because I'm not excited to read. Maybe it's because I'm not doing great with time management. I always tend to read less. During the school year, a lot of people will be like, yeah, 18 books a month, that's not reading less. Well, for me, those have been my lowest reading months. Be that as it may, I have 5 books left on the official TBR. My audiobook is not on the official TBR because none of my books remaining still have audiobooks. My audiobook is the third in the Rainwild Chronicles, which is City of Dragons. Pretty sure I'll finish that probably around Thursday or so. I'm really enjoying it. And for some reason, the narrator, I did not like her in her narration style in Live Ship Traders, but I don't have a problem with it in Rainwild Chronicles, which I don't know what the difference is, if she maybe recorded those earlier or at a different time or something. I don't know what it is, but I'm really enjoying those and the exploration, and some things are getting up and more wider things are being brought into the Rainwild Chronicles, because the first 2 books, which probably should have originally been 1, were pretty much focused on the keeper's journey with the dragons, moving them from their hatching grounds to this other place. So those 2 were primarily focused in there. There weren't really scenes taking place in other locations besides the little snippets that you had from the bird keepers at the beginnings of chapters. In this book, in City of Dragons, Hest has come back in. Still don't like him. He's a pompous prick. But things are happening on that front that involve the other characters. And then also there's some interaction, some things happening with Selden that you listen and you're like, wait, what? What's happening to Selden? Poor guy, how did that happen? So, I mean, Robin Hobb does like torturing her nice characters, apparently. And there's also some scenes with Rain and Malta. There's more getting involved, more weaving in. And I know that in the last trilogy, there's even more weaving in of the 2 books, the 2 series down in like the Bington area and the Rainwilds. So I'm really excited about those, but it doesn't count for my TBR. I distracted myself. I was going to tell you what was left on my TBR. So I have 2 physical books left on my TBR. Middle grade YA. These should read quickly. I'm not super excited about this one, but I don't think I'll mind it as I read it. But I'm more interested in this one. Obviously, this was from the library book sale. I'm like, hey, I'll try it. This I purchased at the used bookstore for a little bit more money. So there's those, and there's 3 NetGalley e-arcs. I'm working through one of them. It's longer than I thought it would, but I had the feeling that when 2 nonfictions came up on the e-arc list that they might be longer. Right now I'm reading The Women of Rothschild. It's like a family biography. So it's studying the women of this major financial family. It's reading quickly. It's not dense. I appreciate it. Am I super enjoying it? No, but I think I'll learn stuff from it. It's not a bad read. I'm about 20-ish% through that one. The other nonfiction that I have is This Is My Jail. I don't know how long that one is, but I think it will probably end up reading quicker. And then the one that I'm not sure about is the Book of Everlasting Things. I really haven't heard anything about it. I know it's fiction and probably fantasy, but I requested it so long ago, I don't remember anything about it. So the plan is to try to focus as much as I can on reading this week and getting through my TBR, because I really, really, really want to be able to read every book on my TBR within the month that I said I was going to read it. I don't want to have to carry anything over. Okay, so I just completely refilmed my November TBR, not because I did anything wrong, but because a couple other things came up. So I just did that. So now I'm going to import it and re-edit it so it can go up on Saturday before this one. I'll probably mention it again. It's going to be the Saturday included in this vlog, but I'm really excited about that. And now I'm excited about all the books I have on the TBR, which is a good change. Even though a lot of the books are still the same, I just reframed them to fit readathon prompts. Funny how that works. Reading updates. It is Wednesday and I realized I forgot to update it yesterday. I didn't forget. I just ran out of time, didn't squeeze it in, who knows. So audio-wise, I'm listening to City of Dragons and loving it. Fully back into Robin Hobb's character work and the things that are going, and wow, the stuff that is happening with Malta in this book. She is such a different character than she was in the first book of the Live Ship Traders series. Such a different character. And she even acknowledges it in this book. It's incredible. Absolutely love it. How many times do I say absolutely love in my videos? Who knows? I've lost count. On the physical book front, I'm not super enamored with the book. I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna finish it. It's not terrible, it's just so many names. The book is The Women of Rothschild, and the author's point is to talk about the female members of this incredibly powerful, wealthy Jewish banking family. And so many times when people talk about them, they just talk about the men. And so she's telling the women's story. And I love that aspect of it. The problem is she's telling it at just of one line of the family, the line that went to England. But there are so many names and so many interconnections. And she doesn't do a good job at making sure you understand the connections and the who's who as you're going down and you're transitioning between the generations. And it's just a lot. I'm intrigued, but also at the same time, it's like, they're all rich now. This is rich people problems. Do I really want to read about that? Who knows? It's fine. I'll get it read. Is it super compelling? No. Okay, so I just finished unboxing my LitJoy crate box back from April. You heard all about it in that unboxing video. And I am about to go out on my run, but I wanted to update really quick because I got an email today that said that I got an arc of Bloodmarked. I am so excited. I am definitely going to be reading that in November. I'm almost fairly certain that's going to be on the Goodreads Choice Award nominee list. At least here's hoping. As far as other updates go, I was a lot closer to finishing The Women of Rothschild than I thought. Decent book. Got it done. Crossed it off earlier than I thought, which means I am more potentially able to finish my TBR for the month. It's crunch time now because it's Friday, so I have to get this run in and get all that done so I can read this evening. I'm about 30% through This Is My Jail. Again, I'm not connecting with it, but I think it's because I'm getting sleepy in it or something. I don't know. I'm not connecting with it yet. So This Is My Jail is basically the story of, I think, Cook County Department of Corrections and the process that it went through. And it's supposed to shine a light on the problems with the system, the commercialization of it, how it's been misused, abused, etc. So kind of preaching to the choir with me, but we'll see. And then I haven't read any more of City of Dragons like last night because I was falling asleep so much, but I wanted to get through my actual TBR and not City of Dragons, because City of Dragons is not on my TBR, but I probably will still finish it because I want to check all those boxes. And I'm just getting really excited for reading, and all I want to do is read, but I've got stupid logistical stuff with school and the ridiculous class that I have to take and all that. But, so there's my quick update. I've got to go get my run in. Okay, it's Saturday afternoon now, and I'm progressing pretty well on my goal of reading the last 3 books on my TBR in the last 3 days of the month. The last one on ebook that I have, it's called The Book of Everlasting Things, and it's taking me a little longer than I thought because the book itself is longer than I expected, and I don't have those handy dandy notes at the end. Had to adjust the camera angle because it felt tilted to me. I almost said twisted. No, tilted. Anyway, I don't have those handy dandy end notes to, cut off some of those because it's fiction. I'll talk about that in a second. The other 2 books I think I'll be able to read fairly quickly. But before I talk about The Book of Everlasting Things, I want to mention that I finished This Is My Jail, and I don't know whether it's because I read it when I was falling asleep or in the evening or what, but I just never got into it. The book itself never seemed to find its niche. Like, what book is this? Is it telling the story, the history of the Cook County detention system? Is it talking about how it became a for-profit thing and exploited these different groups of people? Is it talking about the stories of what happened to these different people? It went all over the place within those different themes, and I thought we were progressing forward chronologically, but then we just felt like we were in a hamster wheel, time-wise. Things would progress forward, something would happen, and then whoops, no, we got to go back and talk more about this aspect of this thing. And then again and again, and I just was like, wait, didn't we already learn about that person thing event? Nothing made an impact on me, which is a bummer because this could be a really impactful book. I just don't understand the organization. Some of it, the formatting was a little odd. It is an e-arc, and when there were charts and stuff, it was just like listing text. And so I would have to read through the narrative and then, hit the next couple pages to get to where the narrative picked back up. And sometimes I would miss and have to go back and forth. That's a formatting thing that'll be fixed by the time it actually comes out. I read it, got it done. Okay, I'll put a review up sometime. Falling behind on those, I really need to work on getting my reviews in. Setting that aside, after 2 sort of lackluster, one okay, and then one that was kind of like, worse than okay, but worse, I was a little nervous when it came to the last of my e-arcs to read because I didn't know what to expect. When you look at the cover, which I'll put up here, when you look at the cover, I couldn't tell what was going to be in this book. I couldn't tell whether it was going to be fantasy, what kind of fantasy it was going to be, whether it was going to be pretentious or literary or what. I had no expectation for what it turns out to actually be. And it's not a generational story, but it's over a lifetime, primarily of 2 characters. And it's these 2 characters that grow up in Lahore, which is now in Pakistan. But when these characters first meet and are growing up, it's part of Hindustan, which was a colony of Great Britain. It was part of India. And so we've just gotten to the point of a year or so after partition. And the things that have happened, of course, these 2 main characters are coming together, but one's Hindu and one's Muslim. So with the time period, where you're approaching, and that things are not going to work out. I thought that was going to be like the big deal, the climax to the story, but I'm just now 50% through, and they've both gone their separate ways. It just seems so awful for both of them. So it's reading slower, but I'm getting through it, and I'm enjoying the way that it is written, it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely devastating what is happening and the things that were twisted and changed in these areas. Like people who had gotten along for generations in this area, as soon as they realized that to get independence from Great Britain, the country would have to be split, and it would be split along religious lines, they automatically started thinking it's us versus them. Well, I say automatically, but it was this infection that sort of set in. It's like, well, we want to hold on to what's ours, and they, whichever the they is, are threatening to take it from us. It's absolutely devastating. So I use the word absolutely too much. Setting that aside, I wanted to check in because I'm going to try to finish that today and hopefully start Island of the Aunts, which I'm not super excited about, but it's a middle grade book, so it should read quickly. I want to start that book today because I won't have much reading time tomorrow because I've been falling behind on the stupid class stuff. And I realized that with YIG coming up next week, which next week's vlog is going to take a slightly different format, might not update at all on Thursday and Friday because I have YIG. I normally do all the class stuff on the weekends because I have no desire to do it during the week. But the weekend coming up, that Saturday, we'll be finishing up YIG in the morning, and then Mom will be coming to get me in Columbia, and then we'll be going down to Hilton Head. And then I never do a lot. I don't know. I'm bad about accomplishing like to-do list stuff while I'm traveling. And then the race is Sunday morning and then traveling back. So I won't have much time at all when it comes to that evening. And I might think, oh, I can do it on the Monday and Tuesday after that and have it off. But no, like the due dates are, you know, hard and fast of that Sunday. So who knows when I'll be able to get all that done. But for now, I'm going to go back to reading. So I just finished the Book of Everlasting Things and I'm frustrated. This book had the potential to be something awesome because it was dealing with so much. So much trauma happened, collective trauma, to the people in this book. And the things, the fallout from that was real and it was portrayed well. But then we get towards the end and it just drags and drags and drags. And the two main characters are so frustrating. The fact that they won't forgive themselves for the mistakes that they made because of trauma that was beyond their control. They won't forgive themselves and let themselves have a little bit of comfort in their old age. And that's how the book ends. I'm sorry, what are we supposed to get from this? That was annoying. It was leaning towards like probably a high 4, low 4.5. It might squeak out a 4, but probably not, just because I'm so unsatisfied with the ending and it took way too long to get there, which is a bummer. So I'm here to go ahead and close out the vlog. I did manage to finish Island of the Aunts. I'll recap that in a second. I do plan to later today start this and I will finish it tomorrow, but I will likely not even include it in my wrap up because I'm going to film the wrap up today instead of tomorrow so that it can go up today, probably because not today, the Monday before this goes up, because my BookBox books, the other ones that should have come by now, Fairy Loot and Illumicrate, haven't come. So that was the video that was supposed to go up. Anyway, this will mean that I have finished my, I almost said vocabulary, what? This will mean that I have finished my TBR for the month. Reading this, I mean, not just holding this book, which I'm pleased about. This book is getting unhauled. It wasn't bad, but it was weird. And not in the same sort of absurdist way as Alcatraz. I was looking over to see if I could easily get it from that stack over there. There's a lot of stuff that really stretches the suspension of disbelief in this book. And I thought it could have been good, with that little bit of absurdism that some books can have, but it really wasn't. And the thing that started to put me off was in the beginning, towards the beginning, when the women, the aunts, are choosing the kids that they're going to kidnap and make into their replacements for this island. And they're talking about one of the kids, Fabio, who was like, his grandparents were trying to turn him into an English gentleman because his father had gone off to Brazil and married a Brazilian woman, but then he'd gone back to England, and then the father died, and then anyway, he's back over there, but they're considering him like a savage. And some of the language that they used, I think it was supposed to say, no, we're not okay with this, but like, hey, this is the terrible sort of stuff that they do, and we're just gonna mention it and not actually explicitly condemn it. It was weird, and I'm not doing a great job describing why, that thing about Fabio. And ultimately, the ending of it, it was just kind of like, okay. But as I was reading, I ended up reading it slower, and I realized I just put this thing on upside down because I went to open the book and it was upside down. It took a little bit longer because I did fall asleep as I was reading it, and that seems to be the theme with a lot of the books that I read, especially if they're not engaging. This just had nothing to hold my attention, really, so I'll be unhauling it. But I don't have a lot of books to hold up for my thumbnail because 3 of them were on my, was it iPad? I haven't had an iPad for years. On my Kindle. I also don't have the audiobook because I don't have it in physical form yet. But that means that including the ebooks and the audiobook and the 1 physical book that I have, I read 5 books this week, which, not too shabby. I believe hopefully I'll also finish the book in Spanish that I've been reading. So that's a good thing. And overall, I'll consider this a successful week of reading. I have no idea what next week is going to bring, but I'm probably going to be reading stuff on my Kindle, especially towards the end of the week, because it's easier to travel with this than a book, but who knows. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.